knows that he came to me asking help and advice. From here no one knows where he goes. So I sent him to ask of the owl, he's there, how to loosen the jar from the nose of a bear. So help me if you can, I gotta get back to the house and pick more by one. You'd be surprised, there's so much to be done. Count all the bees in the hive, chase all the clouds from the sky. Back to the days of Christopher Robin, back to the ways of Christopher Robin, back to the ways of Pooh.
Christopher Robin leads an expedition to the North Pole. One fine day, Pooh had stumped up to the top of the forest to see if his friend Christopher Robin was interested in bears at all. At breakfast that morning, a simple meal of marmalade spread lightly over a honeycomb or two, he had suddenly thought of a new song. It began like this.
Sing ho for the life of a bear.
When he had got as far as this, he scratched his head and thought to himself,
That's a very good start for a song, but what about the second line?
he tried singing
Ho,
2 or 3 times,
ho, ho.
but it didn't seem to help.
Perhaps it would be better if I sang high for the life of a bear.
So he sang it,
Sing high for the life of a bear.
but it wasn't.
Very well then, I shall sing that first line twice, and perhaps if I sing it very quickly, I shall find myself singing the third and fourth lines without thinking about it. And that would be a very good song. Now then, sing ho for the life of a bear. Sing ho for the life of a bear. I don't much mind if it rains or snows, 'cause I got a lot of honey on my nice clean nose. I don't much mind if it rains, snows or thaws, 'cause I got a lot of honey on my nice clean paws. Sing ho for a bear, sing ho for a Pooh, and I'll have a little something in an hour or two.
He was so pleased with this song that he sang it all the way to the top of the forest.
And if I go on singing it much longer, it will be time for the little something, and then that last line won't be true.
So he turned it into a hum instead. Christopher Robin was sitting outside his door putting on his big boots. As soon as he saw the big boots, Pooh knew that an adventure was going to happen, and he brushed the honey off of his nose with the back of his paw and spruced himself up as well as he could, so as to look ready for anything.
Good morning, Christopher Robin.
Oh, hello, Pooh Bear. I can't get this boot on.
That's bad.
Do you think you could kindly lean against me? 'Cause I keep pulling harder and harder and falling over.
Pooh sat down, dug his feet into the ground, and pushed hard against Christopher Robin's back. And Christopher Robin pushed hard against his, and pulled at his boot until he got it on.
And that's that. What do we do next?
We're going on an expedition.
Going on an expedition? I don't think I've ever been on one of those. What are we going on to do on this expedition?
Expedition, silly old bear. It's called an exit.
Oh, I know.
But he didn't really.
We're going to discover the North Pole.
Oh, what is the North Pole?
Well, it's just something you discover.
Oh, I see. Bears any good at discovering it?
Of course they are. And Rabbit and Piglet and all of you. We're going on an expedition. That's what an expedition is. A long line of everybody. You better go tell the others to get ready. Oh, and we need to bring some provisions. Bring what? Things to eat.
Oh, I thought you said provisions. I'll go and tell them.
The first person he met was Rabbit.
Hello, Rabbit. Is that you?
Let's pretend it isn't and see what happens.
I've got a message for you.
I'll give it to him.
We're all going on an expedition with Christopher Robin.
What is it when we're on it?
Sort of boat, I think.
Oh, that sort.
Yes, and we're going to discover a pole or something. Or was it a mole? Anyhow, we're going to discover it.
We are we?
Yes, and we're going to bring things to eat with us, in case we want to eat them. Now, I'm going down to Piglet's.
The piglet was sitting on the ground at the door of his house, rolling happily on a dandelion.
Oh, Piglet, we're going on an expedition, all of us, with things to eat, to discover something.
To discover what?
Oh, just something.
Nothing fierce.
Christopher Robin didn't say anything about fierce. He just said it had an X.
It isn't their necks I mind. It's their teeth. But if Christopher Robin is coming, I don't mind anything.
In a little while, they were all ready at the top of the forest. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
And the expedition started. First came Christopher Robin,
Oh, boy.
then Rabbit, then Roo,
Let's go.
and Piglet,
Okay.
and Pooh, and Owl, and then Eeyore.
Eeyore! What I say is that I didn't want to come on this expo. What who said? I only came to oblige, but here I am, and if I am the end of the expo, what we're talking about, then let me be the end. And I'm not asking anybody. I'm just telling everybody we can look for the North Pole, or we can play Here We Go Gathering Nuts in May with the end part of an ant's nest. It's all the same to me.
Come on.
We're starting. I must go.
And he hurried off to the front of the expedition with Christopher Robin.
Come on.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
Come on. All right, we're going. Only don't blame me.
So off they all went to discover the pole. And as they walked, they chatted to each other of this and that, all except Pooh, who was making up a song.
This is the first verse.
First verse of what?
My song.
What song?
This one.
Point to one.
Well, if you listen, Piglet, you will hear it.
How do you know I'm not listening?
But Pooh couldn't answer that one, so he began to sing.
They all went off to discover the pole, Owl and Piglet and Rabbit and all. It's a thing you discover as I've been told. By Owl and Piglet and Rabbit and all, Eeyore, Christopher, Robin and Pooh, they all went along with Roo. And where the pole was, none of them knew. See, hey for Owl and Rabbit and all.
Hush! We're coming to a dangerous place.
Hush.
Hush! 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 Hush!
Hush!
They had come to a stream which twisted and tumbled between high rocky banks, and Christopher Robin saw at once how dangerous it was.
This is just the place for an ambush.
What sort of bush? A gorse bush?
My dear Pooh, don't you know what an ambush is?
Oh, Pooh's whisper was a perfectly private whisper, and there's no...
Ambush is a sort of surprise.
So is a gorse bush sometimes.
An ambush, as I was about to explain to Pooh, is a sort of surprise.
If people jump out at you suddenly, that is an ambush.
It's an ambush, Pooh, when people jump at you suddenly.
Pooh, who knew now what an ambush was, said that a gorse bush had sprung at him suddenly one day when he fell off a tree, and it had taken him 6 days to get all the prickles out of himself.
We are not talking about gorse bushes.
I am.
They were climbing very cautiously up the stream now, going from rock to rock. And after they had gone a little way, they came to a place where the banks widened out, so that on each side of the water there was a level strip of grass on which they could sit down and rest. As soon as he saw this, Christopher Robin called,
Halt!
and they all sat down and rested.
I think that we ought to eat all our provisions now, so that we have less to carry. Eat all our what? All that we brought.
That's a good idea.
Have you all got something?
All except me. As As usual, I suppose none of you are sitting on a thistle by chance.
I believe I am. Oh, yes I am. I thought so.
Thank you, Pooh. If you've quite finished with it, it don't do them any good, you know. Sitting on them takes all the life out of them. Remember that another time, all of you. A little consideration, a little thought for others makes all the difference.
As soon as he had finished his lunch, Christopher Robin whispered to Rabbit, and Rabbit said,
Yes, yes, of course.
and they walked a little way up the street together.
I didn't want the others to hear.
Quite so.
Well, it's just that I wondered, Rabbit, I don't suppose you know, what does the North Pole look like?
Well, now you're asking me.
Well, I didn't know once, but I've sort of forgotten.
It's a funny thing, but I've sort of forgotten too. Although I did know once.
I suppose it's just a pole in the ground.
Sure to be a pole, because of calling it a pole. And if it's a pole, well, I should think it would be sticking in the ground. Shouldn't you? Because there'd be nowhere else to stick it.
Yes, that's what I thought.
The only thing is, where is it sticking?
That's what we are looking for.
They went back to the others. Piglet was lying on his back, sleeping peacefully. Roo was washing his face and paws in the stream, and Owl was telling Pooh an interesting anecdote full of long words like encyclopedia and rhododendron.
In the encyclopedia, you shall find rhododendron.
To which Pooh wasn't listening.
I don't hold with all this washing, this modern behind-the-ears nonsense. What do you think, Pooh?
But we shall never know what Pooh thought, for there came a sudden squeak from Roo,
Woo!
a splash, and a loud cry of alarm.
Oh no!
So much for washing.
Roo's fallen in!
Look at me, I'm swimming!
Squeaked Roo from the middle of his pool and was hurried down a waterfall into the next pool.
Look at me, I'm swimming!
And down he went over the next waterfall into the next pool. Everybody was doing something to help. Piglet, wide awake suddenly, was jumping up and down making
What is that? What is that?
noises. Owl was explaining that in a sudden case of temporary immersion, the important thing was to keep the head
In
of the
case
water.
of sudden and temporary immersion, the important thing is to keep the head above water.
Look at me, I'm swimming!
Eeyore had turned round and hung his tail over the first pool into which Roo fell, and with his back to the accident, was grumbling quietly to himself and saying,
All this washing. But catch on to my tail, little Roo, and you'll be all right.
And Christopher Robin and Rabbit came hurrying past Eeyore and were calling out to the others in front of them.
All right, Roo, I'm coming!
Get something across the stream lower down, some of you fellows!
But Pooh was getting something. 2 pools below Roo, he was standing with a long pole in his paw. And Christopher Robin came up and took one end of it. Between them, they held it across the lower part of the pool, and Roo still bubbling proudly,
Look at me swimming!
drifting up against it and climbed out.
Did you see me swimming? Pooh, did you see me swimming? That's God swimming what I was doing. Rabbit, did you see what I was doing? Swimming! Hello, Piglet. Oh, say, Piglet, what do you think I was doing? Swimming! Christopher Robin, did you see
But
what
Christopher Robin wasn't listening. He was looking at Pooh.
Pooh, where did you find that pole?
Pooh looked at the pole in his hands.
I just found it. I thought it ought to be useful. I just picked it up.
Pooh, the expedition is over. You have found the North Pole.
Eeyore was sitting with his tail in the water when they all got back together.
Tell Roo to be quick, somebody. My tail's getting cold. I don't want to mention it, but I just mentioned it. I don't want to complain, but there it is. My tail's cold.
Here I am!
Oh, there you are.
Did you see me swimming?
Eeyore took his tail out of the water and swished it from side to side.
As I expected, lost all feeling. Numbed it, that's what it's done. Oh, numbed it, well, as long as nobody minds, I suppose it's all right.
Poor old Eeyore. I'll try it for you.
Thank you, Christopher Robin. You're the only one who seems to understand about tails. They don't think that's what's the matter with some of these others. They've no imagination. A tail isn't a tail to them. It's just a little bit extra at the back.
Never mind, Eeyore. Is that better?
It's feeling more like a tail, perhaps. It belongs again, if you know what I mean.
Hello, Eeyore.
Hello, Pooh. Thank you for asking, but I shall be able to use it again in a day or two.
Use what?
What we are talking about.
I wasn't talking about anything.
My mistake again. I thought you were saying how sorry you were about my tail being all numb, and could you do anything to help?
No, that wasn't me. Perhaps it was somebody else.
Oh, well, thank him for me when you see him.
Pooh looked anxiously at Christopher Robin.
Who's found the North Pole? Isn't that lovely?
Pooh looked modestly down.
Is that it?
Yes?
Is that what we're looking for?
Yes.
Oh! Well, anyhow, it did rain.
They stuck the bowl in the ground, and Christopher Robin tied a message onto it. North Pole. Discovered by Pooh. Pooh found it. Then they all went home again. And I think, but I'm not quite sure, that Roo had a hot bath and went straight to bed. But Pooh went back to his house, feeling very proud of what he had done, and a little something to revive himself.
Christopher Robin and I walked along under branches lit up by the moon, posing our questions to Al and Eeyore as our days disappeared all too soon. But I wandered much further today than I should, and I can't seem to find my way back to the wood. So help me if you can. I gotta get back to the house at Blue Corner by 1. You'd be surprised, there's so much to be done. Count all the beads in the eye, chase all the clouds from the sky. Back to the days of Christopher Robin. Winnie the Pooh doesn't know what to do. Got a honey jar stuck on his nose. He came to me asking help and advice. From here no one knows where he goes. So I sent him to ask of the owl if he's there, how to loosen the jar from the nose of a bear. So help me if you can. I gotta get back to the house at Blue Corner.